So I wanted to give you guys a little background as to why we're starting our channel. Our channel is called Life on 12 Wheels. That is a spin-off from something we previously have done. Back in 2010, my husband and I went out truck driving with our daughter, and I had the bright idea that I was gonna do a blog. But it was so busy because I was driving as well. So I drove at night, my husband drove during the day, and we were gonna homeschool her. So we started in March of 2010 when she was 5 years old. We didn't start homeschooling her until September of that year for first grade. But getting used to being in the truck with a child and two adults working, both parents working at the same time, it was hard. I had so many stories to tell, but I didn't write anything on that blog. So I had a blog called lifeon18wheels.com. I created a logo for it. I got all excited about sharing all of our stories. At the time, I didn't know how many years we were going to be out there, but I wanted to share what we experienced, right? Just like all of these RV full-time video or YouTube channels are doing now. Fast forward, so that was Life on 18 Wheels. The way we got the name for Life on 12 Wheels was I wanted to take that old logo and I wanted to make a new one. And we know that we will be getting a fifth wheel toy hauler and a Ford F450 dually or a Dodge 3500 dually. We haven't decided yet. I've done 1 full month of YouTube watching, website searching, Google searching, YouTube watching. So many hours of watching YouTube channels. The next 2 years, we are going to be purging our lives completely down to get into the Grand Design Momentum 399TH, which is a toy hauler. That's where we're focusing our efforts right now. But that is what, I don't know, it's over 400 square feet. So we went from a semi, which is probably less than 100 square feet for 3 people. It was a double bunk in the back, and we had we had an actual 1.3 cubic foot refrigerator. It's so funny to see these big RVs and they're so excited about having a 21 cubic foot, 18 cubic foot residential refrigerator. And I laugh because we had a 1.3 cubic foot refrigerator for 3 people. We even had a porta potty on that semi. And we joked around that we were true RVers because we had a porta potty. And at that time, we weren't even thinking about doing RVing at all. While we were truck driving, our goal with our child was to show her the country and to have these amazing experiences, even though we were working all the time. We typically worked 9 weeks at a time, and we would come home for a week, and then we would do things that whatever we had to do. Our home base was always in Texas. We did 240,000 miles a year for 4.5 years. Our daughter has been in every state in the passenger seat of a semi, except for she hasn't been in North Dakota and she hasn't been in Vermont. We have actually gone on a vacation this year to Alaska. And so my husband and I have been in 49 states. We have Hawaii to go. And but my daughter has Hawaii, North Dakota, and Vermont to go. So of course those will be things that we cover once we start RVing full time. While we were truck driving, we found that we thoroughly loved stopping and just experiencing the area. One of our favorite places of all time was actually Manhattan Beach, California. And we would deliver into the Los Angeles area with a load, and we would be empty, and then we would very, very commonly, the load coming out of the Los Angeles area was actually coming out of Rancho Cucamonga, and that load typically did not become ready until 3 a.m. So if we got in the day before, take the cab and drive to Manhattan Beach. And we found from driving around in our big semi, just the cab, right? We found that you could park in this one residential area. It actually had signs for commercial parking it was about a mile from the beach. I tell you that story because for us, going into RV living full time, we've already experienced a whole lot of problem solving, a whole lot of get the best experience you can, even though you're in this humongous rig, right? And with that cab, we had to pay attention quite a bit to the weight of it. And we couldn't go everywhere, obviously, with that. But if we found commercial parking, we would find a way to park our truck and get our dogs and our daughter, and we would walk to wherever we could get to, so that we felt like we were on a mini vacation for 12 hours. Those were some of the best times we've ever had. For our future channel, we're going to be doing videos where we go back to those places that we were in, that we went to in a semi. Like, we've even done Mount Rushmore in a semi. That was a humongous blessing to my husband and I. My daughter just thought it was normal, right? Because in her mind, don't you go everywhere in a semi? Don't you take advantage of every place that you pass by in a semi? We went to a museum one time north of Redding, California, and we called in advance and we said, do you have truck parking? And she thought like a pickup truck, right? In a trailer. She said, oh yeah. And I said, no, do you understand? Do you have semi truck parking? Can we bring our rig, our entire truck? We're 80 feet long. Can we get into your parking lot or anywhere near it and that we can walk? And she said, well, we do have a big gravel lot next to our parking lot. And I said, okay, well, we'll come by and see. And because we wanted to take our daughter to the museum there, because there's a traveling Lego show where that guy that makes all those things out of Legos, it was amazing to get to see these things as we traveled the roads, and we got paid to travel. It was just amazing. I miss those days, but that's one reason why, maybe that's the biggest reason why, we're going back. Today starts our 2-year journey on getting a new lifestyle, and that's RVing full time. We've homeschooled her since first grade, and we have wanted to take advantage of spending time with her after high school, preparing her for adulthood. We've been talking about it for a couple of years, that we would travel again as a family, but we would do it in an RV. What I'd like to do now, changing that, is to go actually during her senior year, because homeschooling, you can homeschool anywhere. I've seen a lot of YouTube channels where families homeschool their young children, and I thoroughly loved homeschooling when she was young. I mean, I taught my daughter how to read and count using road signs. I know when we would go into a Subway at a truck stop and get dinner, I would have her over at the condiment bar area, and I would have her counting relish packets and ketchup packets and using things around me at all times to help teach her. We got to see so many historical things across the country just by passing by. One of the best experiences we had was in Nebraska. There is, I can't remember the name of the town. My husband would know if he were here. And we were covering something in the early American history topics about pilgrims, or not pilgrims, just, people that were homesteading different states in the early beginnings of the United States. And there was a small museum at one of the exits next to a truck stop that had a sod house. And this is a house that has sod on the top. And it was right there. And it was funny because we were driving in Nebraska talking about that very subject. And my husband said, oh my gosh, in 50 miles is the sod house. Do you remember that, Michelle? The sod house? So we pulled over, and that's like reality. That's like real education. And that's why we loved doing homeschool on the road. Our truck was jam-packed. We were always right at the edge of being overweight with our truck, because we had 3 people, 2 dogs, an entire year's worth of curriculum books for every subject. And then we had laundry and porta potty and refrigerator and cameras and all kinds of stuff. So we were jam-packed. We know that going into this RVing full time, it's going to be hard because we all love books. We're going to have a storage unit just for our books, I think. So the whole idea of Life on 12 Wheels, right, is, again, a spinoff from Life on 18 Wheels. And I felt it was appropriate. Go and follow these other channels. These are the other channels that I'm going to list the top 5 that I listen to, that I watch and glean so much information from, like so much information from. Okay, so one of them is Fate Unbound. That guy is amazingly smart, and he has covered so many modifications that he's done to his rig, and they do a lot of boondocking, which I've learned means dry camping or without all the full hookups, and they do a lot of travels into national forests. And the next one is a couple, their channel is called Changing Lanes. They have a motorcycle in their toy hauler, and he works remotely doing a computer job, and now her job has become that she edits the videos, and she does an amazing job. They have so many videos about locations that they've gone to, but also different things about the rig. And we hope to do that as well. Our goal is to share our experience with truck driving and how that is going to carry over into RV living. The next one that we follow is Less Junk, More Journey. Been watching them. They are a young family with 2 young children. And they just went from an Airstream to, this is in September of 2019, they went from an Airstream to a 5th wheel. And he is also very handy, and they have great advice on their channel about, you know, living with kids and things. Now, I have not found any YouTube channels that talk about living with a teenager. One of the reasons why we're choosing a toy hauler is so that my daughter has her own privacy. I want her to have her own bathroom, but I want us to have separate bathrooms. I want us to have rooms where the doors close, partly for privacy for my husband and I, but also for her. But we haven't ruled anything out completely. Well, I will tell you this. Okay. As truck drivers, we have ruled out travel trailers. The reason being, my husband and I were truck drivers for 5.5 years before my daughter was born, and then we were truck drivers together for 4.5 years. My husband is also still a truck driver. We have seen our fair share of accidents where trucks and travel trailers got twisted and wrecked. Now, that's from our own experience, and so if we have a choice to make, I do not want to drive a travel trailer where it's only hitched by the ball at the back of the truck. But that's because I feel safe in a semi. We are completely okay with something that is 13 feet 6 inches tall. We live that life every day. Still to this day, my husband lives that life, knows exactly about heights with trucks. I have heard some people talk about that they didn't want to haul something so tall or so long. So we have been used to hauling a 53-foot trailer, and I love the 5th wheel option because I feel that it is safer. Now, another reason that we're choosing a toy hauler is because there's triple axle in the back. I feel that, yes, that's more tires to replace if you have to replace them, or more opportunity for tires to be blown. But again, I feel safer with a bigger distribution of weight in the back. Each person goes into their decision-making process based on their experience. For us, because we have truck driving experience, my husband has now been a truck driver for 20 years straight, and I have driven a truck employed as a truck driver for a total of 10 years out of the last 20. And so we are making the decision to do a 5th wheel with a triple axle in the back. I want a Ford dually. My husband wants a Dodge dually. I've always wanted a dually. I think they're pretty. I don't think that it's going to bother me that they ride rough versus something that's a little bit smaller. And the reason being is because, again, I've lived in a semi. Semis have air ride seats, but the bunks do not. A funny story, my husband and I, we would argue sometimes on the truck. Sorry, honey, I have to admit that we argued a lot on the truck. There are times when he was sleeping that I would ride on the rumble strips. I would ride on those on purpose. Yeah. Well, you got to do what you got to do. And if he irritates you, that's what you do, right? I mean, you just ride on the rumble strips to keep him from sleeping. Yeah. As a team, You drove all the time. We could run that truck 22 hours a day. There were times when we did. There were times when we would pull over and it was everything we could do just to sleep for an hour. Like if we could just get an hour sitting still, we would be happy. We will not drive like that, obviously, in a fifth wheel RVing, but my point is that riding in an F450 or a Dodge 3500 dually, it is not going to be considered rough for us. We're not. This channel is going to be primarily for the next 2 years. It's going to be following us through the process of purging all of our stuff. All of our stuff. We have so much stuff. I will say this. I want to get rid of everything, but I recognize that I'm going to have struggles in some areas. But my husband isn't here, like barely. He lives in a truck that's smaller than the one we lived in together. It's going to be totally different for him because he doesn't see all of this stuff every day. I see it every day. Our house is about 2,700 square feet, and there are 4 of us that live here. So my husband and I, my daughter, and then my mom. And my mom has 2 bedrooms upstairs. And so in our purging, she's not going to have to purge. She's just going to be moving into a new place by herself. And we're going to put stuff in storage. And I do know that we will get rid of every last piece of furniture, except the museum that I show in the tour and our bookshelves. I know that we could probably just buy new bookshelves. So maybe we won't. I'm not sure. Like the bed I'm sitting on. This bed is 20 years old. It is going to the curb. When you decide that you're going to do a 2-year journey, it helps you to make sure you don't buy anything, because then you reassess everything you think you want, right? You say, oh, I want that book. Well, we have way too many books as it is now. I don't need any more books. And yes, there's Kindles. I get that. We are physical book people. That's going to be one of the hardest emotional things that we go through, and that's getting rid of books. The other thing is when you go to, for me, I love Starbucks. I easily was spending $250 a month on Starbucks. Well, we have a large amount of debt to pay down before we can go out. When I get real with myself, I realize that that money could go towards paying debt down and not buying things. The biggest change that's going to happen over the next 2 years is holding myself accountable for my spending and seeing our debt shrink, and also seeing our items that we own shrink down. I hope to encourage people with this channel over the next 2 years to go through this process themselves. Because I don't know anybody in advance and I'm like talking to a camera, I am just going to bear it all. I'm just going to bear it all so that you guys can see what the reality of living in 2019 is. My goal is to do one video per month only talking about what we got rid of. So it's going to be debt, it's going to be financial choices, it's going to be furniture leaving, it's going to be clothes leaving, it's going to be everything about living on less. We are going to show RV tours. We are going to go to different RVs and talk about them, answer questions about any of them. We're also going to talk about homeschooling and what we're planning on doing for homeschooling. It was different when we were on the road because she was 1st through 5th grade. We actually accomplished 5 grades in 4.5 years. I mean, because she was a captive audience. She couldn't go anywhere. She was by herself and sitting in the passenger seat, and I would drive and she would read to me and we would discuss things. And this month is 5 years that she and I have been home homeschooling. And I want to talk about the different products that I've used and why I chose them. So my goal is to do at least 1 video per week on different topics. And they'll end up being a variety of things, but what I might do is maybe label one of them like homeschool helps. Another one of them, debt something. I got to come up with a catchy phrase, debt Thursday. I don't know. But I'm hoping that you want to follow along. You want to see how somebody does this with a long-term goal. One of the things that we want to do prior to that is share the process of getting there. I hope to get to meet some of you guys down the road. I hope to get to meet somebody that we get to encourage. Like I would love to meet anybody from those channels that I mentioned, because I think that when somebody impacts your life because they've been real and they've been honest about how they're living, I think that that's cool. And what I am finding is there are a couple Facebook groups. One of the best Facebook groups I have found amazing information in is it's called RV Pricing and Values. And we've gone from wanting brand new to possibly wanting used, only because of the advice that's given in that Facebook group. It's just amazing. So if you've never heard of them, go check them out on Facebook. I want to say thank you for watching my video. And if you have any questions, leave a comment below. This is the beginning video for this channel. I do have a previous video that I put up 5 years ago, and it has like 17,000 views on it. I look completely different. I've had purple hair for 3 years, and I don't plan on stopping, but the only other video on my channel is me talking about Ningxia Red, which is a Young Living product. We do Young Living essential oils. This will be the first video, so I don't have any links for you to click on, but more videos are coming. I want this to be an open book, basically. I will tell you this. I'm not doing this channel for my friends and family. I'm doing this for strangers. And the reason I say that is, I think many times we want our friends and family to approve of what we're doing. It feels good, right? It feels good when somebody agrees with you and finds it exciting and wants to share it with you. I mean, yeah, I want my friends and family to be excited for me. I do. I have a handful of people that are gung-ho behind us and know that we can do it, even sometimes more than we think we can do it, because doubt will creep in. And I hope to talk about that by being held accountable with these videos. I want to meet a whole new community of people, and I'm finding that the RV full-time community is very supportive, very friendly. I'm excited to be a part of it. And I hope to meet you guys someday. My goal is going to be to do at least one video per week about the process of everything, but then there will also be one video per month in the first week of the month that will be covering what debt we've paid off and what furniture or items we've let go of. All right, so here's the end of the video. You know what to do. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and what else is there? Oh, there's that little bell. So you want to hit the bell so that you're told when my videos come up. You want to be notified when my next videos come up. I want to give you guys one bit of encouragement. If this is the life that you're wanting to do, figure out how to do it and buckle down and do the hard work. Remember, life is about living it, not just going to work to pay your bills. Seriously, I wish somebody had told me that when I was in my 20s. So if you're in your 20s, don't go into debt, because it will limit your creativity.